All right, y'all, back with another paid review. This time we're reviewing a silent manga by Black Swan. Um, so this silent manga is really interesting, but I was left conflicted with the ending of this manga. It made me feel, it made me question myself whether to take this whole experience sincerely or not sincerely, right? It made me feel like, is this supposed to be a comedy? Is this supposed to be a parody or not parody, a satire? I didn't know how to actually conclude and what to believe at the end of this manga, right? And I think the judges for this manga, because this was entered into a silent manga competition, they probably felt the same way as to like, I don't know how to take this. I don't know what to feel. I feel conflicted about the conclusion of this manga. So we're gonna look at why, right? So before we do that, here at Coffee Comics, we have a way and a standard to judge if something is quality or not. First thing I will say that the artwork here is great. It's got A rank artwork with some B rank rendering, right? So A rank, if you look at the characteristics, excellent anatomy, iconic designs. But what I mean by master of manga, meaning very, very good understanding of the craft, very good facial expressions, great understanding of contrast, and skillful use of line work, right? But the rendering can be a bit rough here and there, but still very polished. So it would fall under the B rank. So ultimately, the art is great. It's very great. When we look at the MANAA ingredients, now, because this is a silent manga, it's very hard to determine if this is going to have all of them because, well, there's no dialogue. You don't actually know what the characters want. You don't know what they aspire to be or what they want to accomplish. Your character must have a goal. The hook in your manga should be, well, it can be multiple things, but the quickest way to hook your audience is to tell them what your main character wants to achieve. And if it's something you find relatable, you can rally behind your character and root for him because you probably wanted a similar goal in your life. But I will say that out of the four, despite it having no dialogue, I will say there is a bit of familiarity in terms of aesthetic. It reminded me of Devil May Cry, right? I've been playing a Devil May Cry game recently and getting into the lore of it. And so the aesthetic of it, I was like, this kind of reminds me of the Devil May Cry aesthetic. In terms of relatability, I cannot relate because I don't know what the heck the characters want, In terms of hopeful and inspiring, well, at the end of this chapter, Christ appears, Jesus Christ appears. And obviously, me being a Christian, Jesus is the living hope and so on. But how he appears and what he does in this final couple of pages in this manga, right? It does offer hope for the lost soul, right? That the lost soul can be redeemed. The lost soul, once lost and totally fried and demonic, can be redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. And that can be inspiring if you look at things with the Christian bias. The only problem is you don't know if you should take that seriously. You see, that's the thing. You don't know if the portrayal of Christ in this manga is sincere or not. And that is actually the conflicting part. I didn't know if I should have taken that seriously or not. I didn't know if this was a mockery of Jesus and Christian beliefs or not. Honestly, I had no idea what to think of it. And I think the authors the judges who read this might have felt the same way, that we're not sure. Like, you want to believe that this is a sincere, meaningful, true portrayal of the Christian doctrine, and that indeed a lost soul can be redeemed. But it's how Jesus is in the end that makes it weird, right? So if we were to just look at this verse right here, 2 Corinthians 5:17, therefore if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. All things are passed away. Behold, all things become new. Now, that's real nice, okay, if you be a believer. If you're not, you should be able to understand what it means. It means what it says. You become a new creature, right? You're no longer the lost barbaric monster that you once were. And you're going to see that, right? You're going to see the lost barbarian become a new creature, right? So let's get into it. So we start off with this nice little sunflower sticking up in the desert, and it then gets crushed by this giant dinosaur foot. But turns out it's a horde of demons. Now, the name of this manga is called Hello Metal. I don't understand. And a lot of stories that have ambiguous endings, but then again, it's a silent manga, so I shouldn't really say that. It's hard to understand silent manga, really. So anyway, a horde of demons are marching towards a castle over there, and suddenly we see what I had thought was the main character, an angel, and we see other angels running in fear. And you see, in this moment, I was like, I don't know right now. I don't know how to take this. Are they really angels? Because angels don't experience fear. You see what I mean? They don't. And so it made me wonder as to, like, should I take this sincerely? Or is this satire? Is this a gag? I really didn't know. But it actually gets kind of worse in terms of, like, should you take this seriously or not? So some of the angels are running away, some are preparing for battle, and we see him rallying up the other warrior angels. Everybody's ready for battle, and we see this zombie making way for, well, what looks to be the Demon King coming through. And this is very, very nice, man. Like, bruh. The execution of the art, of course, is great, but the camera angle choices, fantastic, man. Absolutely fantastic. Cinematic. Dude, it's great. The monster designs, demon designs, fantastic as well. The detail, bro, I can glaze all day at how great the art is, okay? And we see the demon knock at the door, and we see a giant eyeball, right? And the angels look, and they are terrified. Some run away, and this one's like, whew, that's kind of creepy. And then we see that this demon then has an idea, and they all transform into a bunch of hussies and all kinds of delicious foods. And it was in this very moment that I knew that I'm going to be confused now, right? So the demon knocks again, the angel looks again to see a double spread of all kinds of hussies, dressed in bikini and all kinds of jewels and cakes and soda all over the place. And right here again, that's where I completely lost it in terms of, yeah, I can't take this seriously. I can't take this seriously. This has to be a gag manga, surely, right? Right? Because there's no way an angel would fall for this, right? Wrong. He actually does fall for it. So he scratches his eyes and looks again, and dude suddenly gets thirsty and opens the door. And I'm like, nigga, did you really just open the door? Yeah, he did. And so the demons be like, got you. Look at that. that is proper, man. The contrast here is excellent. The rendering of the wings over here as well is very well executed. I like what the dude did, you know, real nice. And they storm in, crushing and killing multiple angels and so on. It's an all-out battle. One angel runs away, goes up a tower, and grabs the horn to summon what I would think is the archangels who are asleep, right? So it's probably Michael, Gabriel, Luciel. I forgot all the archangels' names, but anyway. So I'm like, huh? These dudes are asleep? Okay. So they get ready, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait, why do they look like rock stars? Okay, yeah, I'm definitely not taking this seriously. They look like rock stars, but okay. And here is actually what kind of reminded me of Devil May Cry, the whole aesthetic, really. And they decide to walk out of their chambers and go to the battlefield or to the vault to grab their weapons. And their weapons is some guitars and a microphone. And I'm like, what? You know, look, man, this is cool. It's cool, but I don't know what it means. That's the problem. That's the fundamental problem with manga like this. There's an element of the American, what's the word? The American flavor here, or the American ingredient. Now, what is the American ingredient? American ingredient is that you mostly turn a lot of things into satire. You make fun of things that people actually take serious. That's the problem. You know, it starts to give off a feeling of Family Guy just in manga style, or The Simpsons in manga style, because it looks and it feels like you're mocking what people take seriously. And that isn't actually good. It's not. It's not good at all. Because if you're going to turn the archangels into rock stars, yeah, that works as a gag manga. If that was the intention indeed, that this is a gag manga, this is just me having fun. This is me consciously knowing what I am doing, then you achieved that, you know. But you know, this is Coffee Comics. As somebody, I'm Coffee Comics, I take things seriously. I don't really like satire and things that make fun of things people take seriously. I don't like that, right? That's not to say I won't read it and review it, but I'm letting you know that it's actually not a good thing. Because if you're going to make fun of everything that people take serious, well, life then becomes unserious. Life then becomes empty. Everything's a joke. Everything is insincere. Anyone who takes anything seriously, let's mock them. Let's take what they take seriously and present it in a satirical way. Let's pretty much demoralize people who take this particular thing serious, right? So, hey man, not a good look, bro. But anyways, they grab their weapons in the vault and they start going back down to, I suppose, mainland heaven. And we see some other angels keep fighting. Others have their guitars and they be smashing the brains in of the of the demons. And suddenly a giant speaker drops from the sky and one angel gets skewered, and suddenly the archangels arrive and one angel plugs in the cord. Now, this is funny. It's funny. I ain't gonna lie. It's funny. It is creative and so on. But again, the question is, how would you turn this into a series? You see, how would you turn it into a series? I wonder. I read this thing, I feel like it's not something that can be turned into a series because you don't feel like there is a main character here. You feel like the main characters are the four archangels, but they're like the last stand type thing. They're like the zero division in Bleach. They're not supposed to just pop up anytime. They're like the last resort. So who would actually be an important character that if he fails, he's going to need the help of the archangels? We don't really have that. We don't have one character that we are rallying behind. And the character who ended up summoning the four archangels, he's forgotten now. I don't know where he is. Is he dead? Right? And in fact, I don't even care. You see? So they start jamming away and rocking it out, and the music hitting so good that it be roasting the demons, right? Turning them to daisies. They be exploding and turning into daisies, and all the other angels start rocking out as well in celebration. And the demon lord himself, resisting the power of the sweet tune music, starts to flip out, right, in rage. But unfortunately, he is no match for the power of the rock music coming from the archangels, and he kneels. And then we see, well, I'm going to just call him Michael. We see Michael touch his head, right? And the dude starts crying and wailing hardcore. And Michael gives out an enormous roar, and it obliterates the Demon King basically with a mega explosion. So much so that he turns into a little lamb, right? Into a little lamb. And all of a sudden, we see a giant hand, right, pick up the little lamb and be placed on the head. And the giant hand picks up the archangels, right, and lifts them up. And it ends with what we can conclude to be Jesus rocking out and in victory with the little lamb on his head. Now the little lamb is part of the body of Christ. He is a new creature. So the understanding of he who hears the gospel and accepts it becomes a new creature. All things are passed away, all things become new, and you be accepted in the body of Christ. This was good imagery of that verse over there. The problem is, are you going to take it seriously? Because if you look at the symbol that Jesus be, putting up over there, some can say, bro, that's just the rock symbol, bro. Rock star, yay, type thing. No, it's not just the rock star symbol. It means something else. And others can say, oh, come on, you're going to say it's that devil sign thing that the Druids used to use as a curse mark. Yeah. You see, if somebody is about that Christian life and understands all the pagan symbolism and stuff like that, you're not really going to want to accept this as an authentic, sincere work, because Jesus wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do it. And then it leaves you conflicted. You don't know if you should take this seriously. It's obviously, clearly, this whole thing, I have to conclude that it was a gag manga, okay? It was a gag manga. You turn the angels into rock stars, and Jesus loving rock as well and saying, cheers, everybody, using the rock sign. But it removes this, it ending like this, it removes the sincerity, at least for me, right? And many will say, well, that's your Christian bias problem. Okay, fine. fine. But you do kind of, if you're going to use the figure of Christianity, stick to what he would do. You know what I'm saying? Stick to what he would do. Do not make him do what he wouldn't do, because it just removes the essence and importance of what he stands for when he does what any pagan would do, which is lift up that hand sign, right? Others be like, nah, you're looking too deep into it. Well, that's you who doesn't believe in anything. That's you who takes everything as a joke. But there are people who take things seriously, and I'm one of them. As somebody who takes things seriously, who takes that Christian stuff seriously, I cannot approve of this. I cannot accept this as an authentic work, right? I have to question that. Is this a mockery of Christianity or what? Is it? I'm not quite sure, but it sure as heck is not a sincere representation of it. The part of the demon becoming a new creature, right, being redeemed. Now that's another thing. Demons cannot be redeemed. Jesus didn't die for demons. We don't know the history of this demon king or demon general, if he was once human or not. We don't know. Okay, we don't know, but Jesus did not die for demons. The blood of the Lamb cannot cleanse a demon. It can only cleanse humans. This is me looking at the bigger picture that at the end of the day, he died for the sins of mankind, not fallen angel kind, you see. So I can appreciate that. But at the same time, if I'm being critical, a demon cannot be a new creature, right? You're fallen, you're doomed, you're going to be thrown in the lake of fire. There's no hope for you if you're a demon. If you're a human, there is hope for you, right? You just have to accept and repent and so on. So if you understand all of this, right, you cannot actually enjoy this. You cannot actually accept this, and you cannot take it seriously. You have to take it as a gag manga. You have to. But at the same time, it is presented in a way where the ending, especially, where it wants you to take it seriously. So there is that conflict now that, man, you want me to take this seriously, but you weren't serious about what Christianity actually is. You see what I mean? So you're left conflicted, and you end up saying, you know what? I think I'm just going to leave it alone because I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to feel. So if we just judge this thing strictly as a silent manga that has great art and great composition and so on, yeah, this definitely gets a 9 out of 10. It gets a 9 out of 10, absolutely excellent in the artistic execution, right? The symbology, I can give it a pass of like, we get it, we get it. But if you understand Christianity, you just can't fully accept this thing. You have to just step away from it and be like, nah. And I think even if the reader or the judges are not Christian themselves, they too would feel conflicted because they know that this is not what Jesus would do. Giving off the hand sign at the end like that, as if Jesus, is one of these. It's like he's this teddy bear nice guy. Just no, that's not how he is. That's absolutely not how he is at all, right? So yeah, bro, this was one conflicting manga, but well done on the artistic execution. But next time when doing a silent manga, make it clear that there is a main character because making the four archangels the main character, well, we can't really rally behind them because we don't. I know it's a silent manga, you can't really know much about a character, but it's all about how you execute it. Okay, so next time, just make sure that there's a clear indicator that this is the main character. The angel we saw in the beginning, it would have been cool if we saw him again, right? Like him too, also being lifted up and put on Jesus's back, right, or shoulder, to show that, okay, I forgive you for opening the gates. Very dumb of you, but I forgive you for opening the gates type thing. Because we never saw him again. This was a pretty cool introduction of him. He looked really cool. And then we don't see him again. But the coolness of him is completely assassinated when he pulls a retarded move by opening the gate. It's kind of demoralizing. You know, it's actually pretty demoralizing. I want to say also, really, that angels ideally need to represent the ultimate good. They uphold the standards of righteousness and long suffering and commitment and discipline through and through, right? And that the fallen angels who fell in love with the women, they already fell. So the angels who still in heaven are those who cannot be tempted. And again, others will say, bro, you're looking too deep into it. I guess maybe I'm triggered, bro. So congratulations if if that was maybe an attempt that I want to trigger this nigga. Fine, I be triggered. But that's the truth of it. The truth of it is that angels uphold the standard. And when we see a cool angel in the beginning, and then all of a sudden he acts like a moron and opens the gates so the demons can come in, it is objectively demoralizing, because you see this cool character, you're like, oh, this is the hero, cool, right? I wonder what's he gonna do. But then he pulls a bonehead move, and then we don't see him again, right? And then the show is completely taken over by the archangels. You don't really know who to like, you know? You don't really know who to like. You don't. Yeah, man. Next time, if you want to introduce a character in the beginning, make sure that we see him again, okay? Make sure we see him again. Make sure that the mistake he made is, well, he understands the mistake he made and he pays for it. Maybe he could have gotten injured severely, and then Jesus heals him and points a finger at him saying, hey, next time, don't be so stupid, bro. You know better than this type thing. That would have been better, okay? That honestly would have been better. So I don't know how many people are going to be in agreement with this or not, but I have a Christian bias that this is not a good portrayal of things that I take seriously. You know, it's really not. This is a subversion of what I take seriously. And again, even those who do not believe, right, their understanding of Jesus as well, now based on whether the Catholic Church or in general, this is not what Jesus stands for. This is not what angels would do. And immediately it does make even the non-believer feel like this is a mockery. This is a mockery, and I don't like it, you know. So ultimately, 9 out of 10 in artistic execution, but in narrative, bro, this is unacceptable, right? Under the Coffee Comics standard, the narrative gets a 3 out of 10 because this is a subversion. This is a subversion of things that are sacred. This is a subversion of something that built a society, right? And now having the author chime in the mockery of this religion, you know, and its symbology is not good. It's not good at all, bro. We need a few things to be taken seriously, to remain sacred. We need it, right? Otherwise, everybody's just gonna be a clown, right? And if everyone is a clown, what can you commit to? What has value? Will you know it has value? Everybody's clowning around, you know? So yeah, man, next time, please, bro, don't subvert sacred things, man. Either leave it alone, don't get involved, right? Or actually try to honor it instead of dishonoring it. Because yeah, this was a dishonor, bro, you know. But that's it for now. If y'all would like your own reviews, $40 per chapter. And that's it for now.